As a person on church ministry, you have a slew of responsibility. You need to be a shepherd. You need to be an administrator. You need to be an evangelist. You need to be a disciple maker. And sometimes you need to be a social media strategist. Listen, you know this. Not everyone can be good at everything. Just recently, someone in the DYM Facebook group asked, social media gurus, where you at? I want to start upticking my engagement. I probably see that question once a month. Just like you get curriculum to help you teach, just like you get calendar apps to help you stay organized, and you have books to help you learn. With so many different tools on the market, how do you know what you can actually trust? I've been leading a youth ministry leader cohort specifically down a deep dive topic of hybrid ministry. And at the beginning of the cohort, it's an 8-week experience. At the beginning, I have people map out the next month of social media content. And every week when we circle back, we evaluate how did the last week go. And without fail, they say, I had my plan, so the plan's laid out, but I didn't do it because a meeting came up, because this thing happened, because I got busy, because the weather canceled our services, and I was focused and forced to do other things responsibility-wise. You see, whatever the reason is why social media falls by the wayside, it's not a priority, leadership doesn't see the value of it, you're not creative enough, you need something to help you. You need a strategy, and that's what this episode is. This is the mega episode. I've done you a favor. In the next several sections of this video, I'm going to share with you the analytics behind my hybrid ministry strategy and my seasonal social media pack, which is now available and active for the spring season over on Patreon. So make sure that you go take a look at that if that's something that you're interested in. And then in act number 3, we're going to share with you the hybrid ministry framework. In act number 4, I'm going to share with you the execution layer. How do you actually pull this thing together? What gear, what software do you need? Act number 5 is going to be the vision layer. Where can this go if you really choose to double down on it? And then act number 6, I'm just going to share with you different ways that I can help along the way. And here's the good news. I've actually shared all of this before. If you're new here, or if you don't want to go through all the various episodes I have, this is almost going to be like a clip show. I have done the hard work of combing through nearly 200 hybrid ministry episodes to share with you each of these different sections. So we're going to dive in. Let's look first here at the analytics and what's going on behind the scenes. When I released my winter seasonal social media pack, I did a vlog style video where I was at a conference that my church was hosting. I was help hosting it. I was like a stage host for the week. And I wanted to prove that I could post my pack in less than 16 minutes of total time over the course of the week. Though in my pack, I propose you post 3 times a week. I posted 8 times during that week, every single piece of content that I include in my seasonal social media pack. Spoiler alert, I didn't meet the challenge, but I did learn something valuable, and it's that my pack can actually stand up to some of the stressors of everyday life. My pack was the schedule, and all I had to do was look at the schedule. It told me exactly what I was supposed to post. I posted it, and not less than 16 minutes, but however, I was able to do it in less than 20 minutes. And this right here is the analytic and the deep dive from that week of posting. Now, I have all different seasons, and I just released spring, which means now we're also able to offer a full year of custom and DIY seasonal social media. So if you want to look at the 4-season bundle pack for the entire year of social media, go check it out. But what I'm trying to do in my pack is I'm trying to make you and your church the hero, not just a bunch of standard graphics that every church, any church can post, but graphics that, we'll have some of that, but also videos with you and your people. And I'll train you and give you scripts and give you video and graphic overlays that you can put on top of videos that you record, because 90% of the internet's traffic is short form, vertical based video. And so I took that concept, the one that I sell to you and sell to all youth pastors, church communications people all around the world, that I stand behind, and I put it to the test. And here were my results from the week. And it's nothing crazy. We didn't go viral. We didn't get famous off of it. In some cases, we had some really low views. In other cases, we had some really high views. So I want to share with you the highest view from the week. I want to share with you the lowest view from the week. I want to share with you a comment from a post that happened during that week, as well as the post that got the most amount of likes. And I'm going to do that across 3 different platforms of TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you're watching here on YouTube right now, you'll see this graph up here on screen. But the video with the highest views on TikTok was only 235 on our Bible verse video, 235 views on TikTok. Our lowest one was our transition style video. It only had 38 views over there on TikTok. A comment, we got 0 comments during the week on TikTok when I did this. And see, that's the truth. That's the hard and crass reality. Sometimes that's what happens. We also did get 37 likes on our verse video, so that video did do the best on TikTok. Now, let's switch over to Instagram. I got 471 devotional views on our Devo video, the one that the script. I wrote the script, then I copied the script verbatim, and I hadn't looked at it in like 3 months, so I was basically going in cold, which is very similar to what you would also be doing if you were to grab my pack and implement it in your own context. We had 243 views. That was the lowest on our verse post on Instagram. So interestingly, it was our lowest on Instagram was higher than our highest on TikTok. Comments on the Devo, we had 2 different people that left a comment on my devotional thing, and I asked for some sort of, hey, leave this emoji in the comments if you need this, and 2 people did that. And then the highest likes was 17 on that same devotional video. And then over on YouTube, check this one out. We had 1,081 views on the transition video. We had we had 23, our lowest on the verse post on YouTube. And then on the Bible trivia post on YouTube, someone said, I didn't know the answer to that last one. Not a chance. That was fun though. Good job. And then we had 28 likes on said Bible trivia. And here's just a couple of things I find interesting. The verse post did amazing on TikTok, and it struggled on the other 2, right? Each platform had a different higher performer. The verse, followed by the Devo on Instagram, followed by the transition video on YouTube, right? A couple of things. At one point, I actually had to re-edit and repost some of these because I had made mistakes. But somehow, my posted Man on the Street video, I did it without even sound the first time around. My Wi-Fi was lagging. It slowed me down. And right when I was getting ready to hit record at one point, I had to run across the creek to grab my SD card. See, even I, the creator of the seasonal social media pack, I ran into the same potential obstacles that you might. And my summary and all that is that week was far from perfect. But what I did do was I showed up regularly, and when I got busy and I didn't have what I needed to do, I could look back at my calendar, and my seasonal social media pack told me exactly what I should do. And so that's the purpose of this thing. It is a seasonal social media pack that's more than just static graphics, that helps you develop a team, a volunteer, social media team, students, whatever, to hand something off to. And it's for the less than the cost of a couple cups of coffee for the month. So now let's move into Act 3. And this is where we're going to share some best of clips from the Hybrid Ministry Show. I'm going to share with you the Hybrid Ministry Framework. There are kind of 3 core statistics. There's Gen Z, Gen Alpha. They use their mobile device more than they use any other device combined. Furthermore, 69% of students own a smartphone by, get this, the age of 12. 90%, according to Pew Research, use YouTube. But there's a verse in Jeremiah chapter 29. No, not 29:11, but right before that verse, Jeremiah is having a conversation with God, and here's what God says to Jeremiah. He says, you should build homes, plan to stay, plant gardens, eat the foods that they produce, marry and have children, then find spouses for them so that you may have many grandchildren, multiply, do not dwindle away. But you got to understand the context here, which we don't do for Jeremiah 29:11 very often, is that the Israelites are stuck as captives in Babylon. And what God is telling Jeremiah to do is he's saying, stop complaining, stop trying to find a way out, stop trying to leave. Instead, invest in where you live. And digital ministry is not going anywhere. You may not like it. You may not even think it's the most effective. But the majority of millennials, Gen Z, and we can assume Generation Alpha say that a digital version of church is valuable to them and one that they would lean into. And it doesn't mean that their in-person attendance is going to go away. That's a lot of the fears of us in church leadership, is that if we offer a digital component, they're just going to choose that instead of coming to church in person. But far from it. We're also seeing in this generation, more than even older generations, that community is so much more important to them. So they don't want to forsake the in-person moments. And so when we take the in-person moments and the best that it has to offer, and we take the digital things and the best that it has to offer, and we find that sweet spot right in the middle, we find what I call hybrid ministry. A great example of it is honestly Home Depot, man. Think about it. Like, you throw on your New Balances and you throw on your cargo shorts on a Saturday morning. You got a project, man. You're going to Home Depot, but you don't really have like an agenda, right? You're just walking around. You're just kind of like you're taking in the smell of lumber, and you're just kind of exploring what the hallways and the aisles of Home Depot have to offer. Other times, man, like, you don't have time, right? You go online, you make an order so that it's delivered to your doorstep because you don't have time to just live out your full dad mode experience. But my favorite, honestly, version to experience Home Depot is while I'm in the store on their app. Because their app, if you haven't seen it yet, their app shows you where every single thing in their entire store is located. And so that's what I think we should be doing as youth pastors, finding a way to intersect where teenagers already admit that they're spending their time, not forsaking the good elements of gathering together in community and accountability and all those things, but also leaning into this hybrid sort of moment. And so what I want to do is I want to give you one of the easiest ways to kind of step foot into this hybrid space. And it's by upticking your social media engagement. Now, here's the thing. A lot of youth pastors, and if you've been following me along on this channel for a while, post announcements on their feed, just assuming that social media is another announcement platform. But the reality is that that's not what social media is best made for. But what it does mean, and what we should be doing, is that we should be intersecting and invading the lives of students on the places that they spend their time, including TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Remember, 90% of teenagers say that they use YouTube in the ways that they're consuming it. For you and for me and for all of us, my general strategy is simply walking down a funnel of posting short form content, silly content, as well as spiritual content, and hopefully gathering an audience with that, and then pushing them to a long form version of some more serious spiritual content, which is what we do in our youth ministry. We pre-film our messages and we adapt them and make them specific for YouTube. We do that versus like a live stream type of thing. As Carrie Nieuwhof said the challenge is the future is to diversify what you offer online and distinguish it from what you offer in person. So not only is that going to create true options, Nieuwhof continues on to say, but it will deepen engagement as your in-person and online ministries lean towards what each does best. And then beyond just like your message content, beyond your weekly sermons, so to speak, that are also going to live online, whether that's live stream, which I would argue is not as good as a pre-filmed version, but it's still better than nothing. You can also lean into things like courses and those types of things. Exactly should you be posting? I'm glad you asked. I have 3 steps for everyone in their social media. It's this 3-step social media checklist. Step number 1 is make sure that your website is up to date. When you take away social as an avenue for announcements, or when you reduce your amount of stage announcements, there still has to be a full-bodied, one-stop, robust shop for your church people to fall to. And that also makes what I'm going to recommend here on social, which is the second step here. The second step is you kind of want to become enamored with shorts, Reels, TikTok style videos, because when your website is good, you don't have to worry about the information. So now you can leave that behind and you can now move ahead towards the era that social is really made for and meant for. And according to VIDIQ, 90% of the internet's traffic is found on short form vertical based video, because every other platform then was trying to catch up and keep up with this brand new one called TikTok. Shorts, Reels, Facebook has them, Instagram has them, YouTube has them, and even other places like Twitter. If you're even on there, it'll be on a video, you'll be watching a video and it'll auto scroll to the next one. First of all, it's video based and it's short and it's quippy and it's fun. But secondly, like I said earlier, it's that discovery era. If you jump on Reels on Instagram, or if you jump on your TikTok For You page, more than, I think, 90% of I believe that's the stat, of the videos that you're served are from people that you've never actually even met. And so that's good news for you and I as churches and youth ministries. We can get onto other people's For You pages without buying their attention or without having them have to follow or subscribe or know about our channel. The key is producing good content. And so step 1, website. Step 2, start focusing on good shorts, which is why I've created down below my hybrid strategy guide. It will not only lay out my plan and what I do in my student ministry, but it will also give you different ideas and types of content that you can use for your social media. Hey, real fast, don't click away. Listen, a couple of months ago, I was running a conference at my church, and I decided that I wanted to see if while I was in the throes of the busiest week on my calendar to date in the year of 2025, if my seasonal social media pack could have what it takes to actually carry me through and not make it more labor intensive for me to actually keep social media running, but to make it easier on me. And here's what I found out. Imagine it's 6 minutes per week have your entire social media strategy done for you. I mean, think about it. Like 3 months of youth ministry content for just 23 cents a minute. Some weeks it takes me 7, other weeks it takes me 5. But the point is, and especially at the end of this, as I was sitting in my youth ministry leader cohort, everyone said time management and scheduling was the issue with staying consistent on social. So my recommendation would be take my pack, let it be the basics of what you do. And if you do get busy, if something else comes up, you have something to fall back on. And then when you do have the creative energy to create something more custom and more elaborate, scrap one of mine and put one of your own in there, but mine will at least keep you moving in the right direction. So that's the big picture. That's the strategy. That's the philosophy. Now let's move in here to Act 4. This is how to do it. It's going to be gear guides and microphone guides and links. And this is going to get a little bit down in the weeds. If you already know those things, softwares and gear and phones and what you need, I'll encourage you to skip past that over to Act number 5, which is where hybrid ministry can actually take you in the vision layer. If you take my seasonal summer social media pack, which is less than $20, and you download it, you'll realize that as I'm hoping to help youth pastors create custom content, that it's going to require at some points in time a microphone. And what I want to do in this video is I want to show you all of the different array of options that you can use, all the way from like budget microphones to the most expensive Cadillac style microphones to these mid-tier podcasts, but really cool and vibey looking microphones that your students are going to love. Because in this episode, we're going to answer the question, which mic should you use for the content that you're creating in your youth ministry? Welcome, my friends, to the Hybrid Ministry Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hybrid Ministry Show. If you and I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Nick Clayson, and we're going to explore microphones. And they're really important because actually right now, this exact audio is me talking directly to my camera on the other side of the room. You can see that so far of all the audios you've heard, it is the worst style of audio. And we're going to go through budget options as well as all the way up to the most expensive style of options. And you'll notice if you follow my hybrid ministry social media recommendations that it's going to require you filming some of your own custom content, and that's going to require you to want to have a microphone because this audio right here is just not doing it. So first we're going to look at budget audio. This is my budget audio recommendation. It's one of these Bluetooth style microphones. They are really cheap. They clip on. They are wireless, which is nice. And they plug directly into your phone. You can get these for less than $10. And at a minimum, what this does is the requirement for decent microphone audio is you just want to isolate the audio source away from the video source. Now, this one records directly into the actual video file. So you like your video and your audio, they'll be immediately linked up, which is good news. But I would say this one here, we're going to call this like the student ministry volunteer microphones. So this one right here is actually one of my newest recommendations. It's the Rode Wireless Go 2, not because I've been against it, but because it's just brand new. I just got it. And so right now I'm actually talking direct into my cell phone camera. And right now I'm talking direct into my Sony ZV-E-1 camera, which that camera is actually also linked down below in the link included in the description. I would call this one like the church intern of microphones, but it's the church intern that actually reads commentaries. This pro level microphone is the Sennheiser lavalier system. It is the senior pastor of microphones. It's buttoned up, it's expensive, it's intimidating, and it's very, very serious about what the job needs to be. It is wireless, so you'll see I have a pack that I have right here in my pocket, and this wire that's just like clipped on in here through my shirt, and then I have a receiver over there on my Focusrite. So this one does require an audio interface, and it's not recording directly onto any of the videos. So you would need to record this separately. You can use something like GarageBand, or we use like Adobe Audition, but then you have to link this audio up with the audio from the camera. This microphone right here is the Sennheiser MK600. I would call this one, if the last one was the senior pastor of microphones, this one is the executive pastor of microphones. It knows where to aim, and it's gonna hit every single time, but you also better know what you're doing. So the pros and cons of this are you don't need a wireless interface. I am plugged directly into my Sony camera. A con, of course, is you will probably need some sort of adapter, as this goes through an audio like 1/8 cable inch headphone jack. And so you're gonna need some sort of adapter, probably a microphone to USB-C or to Lightning to go directly into your phone. The other con, of course, is it's wired, okay? And so like you're gonna need to have like an XLR cable. It's like what you would use for your worship music or worship department. But you can see some of the pros of it. We'll use this a lot. We've used this almost exclusively on our Man on the Street videos. And so we've bought this like microphone flag with like our church branded logo in it. It's also battery powered with just AA batteries. And so that's easier than trying to remember to plug in something that's like USB-C or like rechargeable in that way. And here we are back where we started. And these right here are the podcast style microphones. There's once again a link down below in the show notes so you can check these out. These microphones are kind of like the youth pastor of microphones. They are professional, they're paid, they're full-time. Hopefully you're full-time, and they're cool looking, or like try hard cool looking. Maybe you're giving it too much, but the fact of the matter is these much to the opposite of the shotgun microphones before, catch almost zero sound bleed. And so for most of our, we do drafts and we do 7 questions here in this room. For most of these videos, these microphones do a fantastic job of picking up the audio of the students that are talking directly into it. Not to mention, it cuts out some of the exterior wall noise that we were talking about in the last section and in the last clip. The con of these, however, are they're XLR, so you are going to need like a music microphone, oftentimes we use 2 of these, so you're going to need at least a 2-channel audio interface. We use the Focusrite Scarlett 8i8. You can check that out. Once again, link down below for that in the show notes. The con of that, of course, is that is going to be an upgraded and an additional cost. And so you'll just have to figure out between this one or the Bluetooth wireless or the Rode Go Wireless 2 or the condenser microphone or the lavalier microphone, what microphone is best for you. All right, what about software? If everything that we're promoting you to do is short form vertical based video, then you're gonna have to use and utilize some software. So this isn't a best of clip. This is actually brand new. And as you're looking here on screen, you might be wondering where these came from. This is from my youth ministry leader cohort that I'm leading, Deep Dive. These are my suggestions. So the top tier of suggestions are the Adobe Creative Suite, which includes Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, and DaVinci Resolve. And those are listed in order of probably power as well as price. I will put all three of these on the same plane though. Like you can pretty much do everything in Final Cut or DaVinci that you would also do in the Adobe Creative Cloud. And so depending on where you're at budget wise, these are the ones that I would recommend if you have an appetite to learn something that's a little bit more professional and a little bit more powerful. But moving on to the next tier are three different options. I have CapCut, I have in-app editors, and then I have just the run-of-the-mill iMovie or Windows Movie Maker. So CapCut, of course, there's a web app, and there's also an app for your phone. You can use either of them, and there is a pro version, so you can upgrade a little bit to pay. If I'm doing something just quick and short, my favorite editor is either the Instagram Reels, but my real favorite editor is the TikTok editor. And in TikTok, when you save it, it auto-saves a copy of it to your camera roll unless you turn that off in the settings. And so if you're cross-posting to say Instagram or YouTube, you go to TikTok first, you edit whatever you want to edit, put whatever captions on you want to put on, and then you post it. And then if you go to the other apps after that, it'll be sitting there in your camera roll. And then iMovie or Windows Movie Maker is probably the bottom of the barrel, but it's also probably free for whatever machine you have, whether you're a Mac or a Windows user. Let me also say another thing. If you have some sort of long form version of your clip, a live stream, or you sit down ahead of time and film direct to camera, Opus Clip. If you look here, you'll see on my feed, all of these ones that are circled, this is my student ministries feed, all of these ones that are circled were all edited by Opus Clip. I post 3 of them per week. And so in the seasonal social media pack, I recommend a devotional clip, but if you have some sort of long form version of your message that you can upload into a service like Opus Clip, and if you just scan this QR code that you see here on screen, you can go check out Opus Clip. It's free for a while, and then you have a certain number of credits, and when it runs out, then it's an upgrade for about $100 and something per year. And I've never run out of credits in Opus Clip, and we even share it with another ministry in our church, and we still have enough credits for Opus Clip. So that's something that really can help if you have a long form version of something. If not, then I just recommend doing a devotional on your phone, editing it in something like CapCut or TikTok, and then posting it everywhere. Man on the Street, transition style videos, drafts, 7 questions. Any given night you come into our youth ministry, we're doing one of those 4 things. Let me just tell you, like, once we started walking around with the camera, especially for like Man on the Street or like transition style videos, the kids came out of the woodwork in their interest level for it. We have 7, I want to say, different like serving teams for students. We have welcome team, we have cafe, we have tech team, we have social team, we have photography, we have worship. Maybe that's it. Oh, no, and then we have our table leaders. That's probably like our highest spiritual bar of a role. The team that people want to be on the most is the social team. And so we have increased our engagement around student serving because the social team exists. But the real, in my opinion, this role right here, this next role, this is really like the role that has changed everything for me. It's the student editor. So I post 10 pieces of content per week, and this is a genuine, real, true, authentic statement. I don't edit any of it. I'm going to include a checklist for you of roles, of things to do, of what to film, all of that. That's over on my Patreon. Once again, that will come with a nominal fee because Patreon doesn't let me give it away for free. However, if you are a hybrid hero, you get that checklist. It costs you $0 included in your $4 per month membership Hybrid Heroes tier. All right, now we're going to jump into the vision layer. So you start kind of dialing in social media. Where can this go? Maybe it's pre-recording your messages and creating a library of content on YouTube. Maybe it's creating YouTube playlist courses. Maybe it's a weekly podcast and you're using things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. What could this take you? What vision do you have for some of this? Let's dive in and check out some of this vision piece content. From the most conservative parents in your church who would never even imagine letting their kids enter the World Wide Web, to all the way to the least restrictive parents who gave their kids a phone and let them have wild access to the internet, YouTube is a great strategy and a great platform for students and student ministry. If you're anything like me, and you work at a church, you look around your youth room and you compare it to the auditorium or the main church room that the rest of your big church is using, where your pastor's preaching on Sunday morning, and you probably look and think, man, I don't have the gear to capture my services and post them on YouTube? And the answer to that is probably unequivocally 100% accurate. You'll plan your curriculum, and then you'll write out your teaching, and then you'll sit down and you'll deliver the message direct to camera, all because you told your time what was going to happen to it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't counsel students and meet with your senior pastor and plan for your Wednesday night, but if pre-filming your messages, if getting the message of Jesus and the message of hope out on the internet, on YouTube is important to you, then you need to determine when you're going to place that thing on your calendar to do. Does teaching, is it required and mandated to be in person? So anything that you might be tempted to turn into a class or a meeting or a workshop or a meetup or an after church like pizza with the pastor sort of thing, any one of those that isn't like relationally charged, I believe, and even if they are relationally charged, we can repivot and reposition the way that we're doing it so that it can be included in a YouTube playlist. However, playlists are basically like free courses on YouTube's platform. Listen, are you overwhelmed yet? Because it can be overwhelming. It's deep. And just like you have to be an organizational person, an administrator, an executive pastor, a shepherd, now you're also being asked to be a social media manager. And that's the thing. That's why I have 4 different tiers of ways that I can help you. Number 1, just grab my free ebook. You can also check out the seasonal social media pack for the 3 months, or you can do for the whole year, or coaching where I'll help walk you through it and how to implement some of these things, or you can just reach out to me directly for coaching and communications done for you. But without any further ado, let's check out the last little bit here of the final, what this could look like and where this could take you in your church and in your ministry. You can grab my free ebook, but if you get in there and you're like, I don't know what's best for us, I want to let you know about some custom coaching that I have to offer. My custom coaching is 4 sessions long, $50 per session. It'll be $200 out of your overall budget, which is absolutely pennies in the drop in the bucket in an overall church size budget. But if even that is too much, reach out. We can make something work. But the reason that custom coaching is important is because every context is different. Like I can tell you what I'm doing here in DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth area to reach in my context, Gen Z, young, basically almost done with Gen Z to Gen Alpha. But that might be helpful because if you're managing church social media for an overall church, like what we're doing is going to be very cutting edge for, like older Gen Z and even like millennials. But every church and every context and every geographical area is a little bit different. I was recently coaching another guy, and my typical like strategy, I changed it and tweaked it a little bit for him because he was doing things just a little bit differently, and his context was a little bit different, and his role was a little bit unique compared to what I typically would tell people to do. And so even I was, thinking through and adjusting my model. And so it's important because everyone in every place is different. And then the final piece is this, is like, as I say all this, and as, maybe a minute ago, you gave me that sub because you were like, dude, there's just too much to do. And even with some custom coaching, there's still going to be a lot on your plate. You're 100% right. There's still a lot of work to do, which is why I want to offer to some of you, it might be worth it budget-wise, communications done for you. It's a service that I offer, and I will run your website, or I will do graphics and video, or I will run your YouTube and social media. Each of those different buckets and categories is a different price point, or you can bundle them all together for a different price point. Link down below to inquire about that. But let me just tell you that it is 1/10 of the cost of a full-time staff person if you were to hire me and contract me to do communications for you and for your church and for your ministry, because there's so much on your plate and you want it, but you don't have the time or bandwidth or desire maybe even to learn it. And I understand that. And at some point it's just worth it, to just get it off of your plate. And if that you're in that zone and you don't want the coaching, you don't want to learn via the ebook, then great. Then check out what I have to offer communications for you. I will do things like inspect your website. I will optimize your search engine optimization. I will make your website as visitor friendly as possible. If you want to go in the graphics route, I can do graphic design for you. I can do series and events and pre-screen and print graphics and all those types of things. Get those pesky jobs off of your plate. And if you want to optimize your church's social media, live stream, or YouTube pre-film messages, we can do thumbnails, we can title the video, we can optimize the tags for search engine optimization, create chapters so that people can jump around in your videos, create playlists and online courses, and also create post shorts for your social media. Whatever works best and whatever you want done for you. All of it is linked down below in the description or in the show notes. I'd love to have you check those things out. But again, I appreciate you being here. And listen, it is the future of the church is online. It's not only online, but a wide portion of it is. And the fact is, the more capacity and bandwidth that you have to take it there, the more effective I believe you will be to maximize your reach and your influence. So continue to pursue reaching people for Jesus. Continue to pursue the call and the assignment in which God has placed you, particularly right now in this season. And don't forget, and as always, stay hybrid.